You're watching Joy News on the Multi TV channel. My name is Daniel Daze. We'll take you live now to a workshop, a two-day workshop, as part of this week's Anti-Corruption and Transparency Week. Currently addressing the gathering before the beginning of deliberations is Deputy Commissioner of SHRAJ, the Commissioner of Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Richard Kwesen. Let's join him now.
Heads of MDAs, heads of MMDAs. It is always an honor to meet under the table of anti-corruption and integrity. For me, I have worked with the Commission on Human Rights for a very long time. And my passion for human rights is still very strong. But I believe that my passion for anti-corruption work and integrity is much higher, because whenever corruption flourishes, human rights cannot flourish. Whenever corruption flourishes, it has adverse effect on the flourishing of human rights. So if we really want to enjoy rights and enjoy them in full measure, then we have to do everything to fight corruption and to build integrity in our society. And that is why it warms my heart this morning to welcome all of you to today's conference. For today is more of technical work that we're going to do. We're going to look at the anti-corruption plan and plan for its implementation next year. We have Nananum here, and I want to probably speak to our leaders, traditional leaders, Nananum and our Queen Mothers. You see, as the custodians of our traditions and our customs and our way of life, if corruption has become so pervasive in our land, and you may want to ask, well, how can we be custodians and things can get out of hands like that? Nananum, you have a saying that when something happens before elders, there's always a solution for it. Because elders will always go deep down and find solutions. This morning, we believe that you will ensure that we find solutions to the problem of corruption and ensure that next year we are able to implement programs that will give hope to our children and our grandchildren and the children yet to be born. Law enforcement agencies, anti-corruption agencies, we are here. We have been established mainly to provide leadership in the fight against corruption and crime generally. Yet, if you listen to the cry of the people, people are beginning to wonder whether we are in existence or not, because they want to see solutions. They want to see results. And we believe that bringing you here today, you will help us to find the solutions and the results that the people are crying for. Our religious leaders, faith-based organizations, a recent survey shows that in Ghana, about 94 plus of the population profess one faith or another. This is also borne by the national statistics. And almost all the faiths that we profess to denounce corruption. Yet Ghana finds itself in a situation where we are virtually immersed in corruption. what has gone wrong? Where is our faith? We hope that the leaders of the faith-based organizations will help us find the solutions that we are looking for. And for every institution, civil society, media that is represented here, we have come here this morning for business. And I believe that we will do business and come out with solutions that will give hope to this nation. We started the week on Monday, and we have done a number of activities. But today is very critical, because today we must show a certain level of commitment that indeed we are doing the business of fighting corruption and breaking the back of corruption in this country. With these few words, on behalf of the Multi-Stakeholder Planning Committee, I want to welcome all of you to today's anti-corruption conference. Thank you very much. With that, I would like to also invite the EU rep to make a brief statement, a goodwill statement. Thank you.
Good morning. Dear Raj, Deputy Commissioner and staff, ministries, departments, agency representatives, diplomatic colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be with you again following the launch of the Anti-Corruption Week on Monday. I would like to commend Raj for bringing together so many different institutions to drive forward Ghana's commitment to accountability and fight corruption. The impressive range of actors present today reflects the commitment taken under the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, NACAP, and we hope that you all will translate into practice the political vision of a Ghana free from corruption. I also wish here to warmly thank the European Union Arab Programme Coordination Unit for working tirelessly to support the organization of these key events during the Anti-Corruption Week. Let me say a few words on the European Union Ghana Anti-Corruption, Rule of Law and Accountability, ARAP. That is here. As you know, the program was designed with NACAP as a reference point. A plan is in Ghana's development strategy. First, our program aims at strengthening law enforcement agencies, building prosecutors' capacity to prosecute corruption and related offenses. It means building the capacity of the judiciary to hear and decide corruption cases and related offenses, raising the accountability standards. And it also means supporting the police and judiciary to combat corruption among their ranks. ARAP has also the objective of building the capacity of civic education providers, NCCEs, CSOs, the media, to conduct campaigns, advocate and lobby for increasing accountability and fight against corruption. But today, I wish in particular to highlight the ARAP has supported the development of the NACAP Annual Progress Report 2016 and the NACAP 2017 Action Plan key documents for the discussions of today, I believe. Now, when reading the NACAP 2016 report, we have noted the following. A series of innovative measures have been undertaken in awareness creation on NACAP, including the use of social media, platforms, public education centers, use of traditional media such as radio, etc. We also noted that significant achievements have been also noted with concern the challenges experienced. In particular, the number of agencies reporting on the implementation of NACAP was below expectation. In 2016, a very limited number of departments and agencies with no private sector actors reporting at all. Similarly, except 3 organizations, no many civil society organizations reported during the period. Thus, the questions this workshop could assist responding are: how can the government support in a more effective way the implementation of NACAP and beyond the fight against corruption? How can the leading institutions rush better deliver its mandate, notably in ensuring NACAP is actually delivered by all implementing partners, including CSOs, media, and the private sector? With the last and perhaps critical question, how can NACAP yield results in the fight against corruption? Indeed, the European Union being the first partner who believe in its national policy, we will hate to see it becoming an empty shell. Now we know that during 2017, some improvements in the reporting occurred, but much needs to be done. For our part, this coming year, ARAP will support NACAP monitoring process with the aim of seeing an increased number of institutions reporting on the progress made based on their roles foreseen in the policy. We expect to see a platform being developed by ISRASH with our support to facilitate this reporting process, with the aim of getting more stakeholders reporting in the near future. Dear ISRASH Deputy Commissioner, 3 years down the line, NACAP is at crossroads, and we believe you have a huge task ahead of you, with perhaps no option but to succeed, as failing to deliver will be a big blow to the hopes generated by Ghanaians in this policy. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a fruitful workshop, and we are keenly looking forward to reading the results of your deliberations in the interest of our engagement on this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your goodwill message. We would also want to invite Teiko Saba, the head of programs, Star Ghana, to give us a goodwill message.
Good morning, everybody. Deputy Commissioner of SHRAJ, Mr. Kwesen, development partners present here, ministries, departments, and agencies, Nananom, Nime, Name, fellow civil society colleagues, invited dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to join this conference and share a message of solidarity as we celebrate International Anti-Corruption Day under the theme, NACAP, strengthening public, private, and civil society partnership in the fight against corruption. Star Ghana is a civil society support facility funded by UK Aid, Danida, and the European Union. We work with the aim of a well-informed and active civil society able to contribute to transformational change around key challenges of poverty, inequality, and inclusion for all citizens. We believe that the fight against corruption is important to moving Ghana's democracy forward positively. This cannot be true. There cannot be true inclusion of all women, children, youth, persons living with disabilities, and other vulnerable groups if corruption is left to fester within the Ghanaian society. They are the ones who suffer the most and suffer silently. We therefore lose out on their positive contribution to nation building. Honorable Deputy Commissioner, corruption is not far from us. We experience it in our social spaces. By abusing entrusted power for private gain, both the giver and the receiver are guilty of willfully depriving Ghanaians high level of service delivery we deserve, regardless of our geographic location, gender attributes, social status, or political affiliations. It's said that the worst disease in the world today is corruption, but there is a cure, and that is transparency. This means that tackling corruption must be done collectively. We must all put our shoulders to the wheel and challenge the structures and systems that continue to perpetuate this. Thus, the theme for today's conference is apt, and NACAP provides such a platform for joint action. Ladies and gentlemen, Star Ghana continues to support this fight in many ways, with funding from UK Aid, DANIDA, and the European Union, and through our work at local and national level with partners, an amount of 14 million Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to 2.7 million British pounds, has been set aside to support ongoing and future work on anti-corruption across Ghana. Further, our current anti-corruption call recognizes that it is not enough to do business as usual, and that whilst we must build up on what has been successful in the past, we must also have the courage to try out new ways of working. NACAP continues to be an integral part of the overall strategy to combat corruption in Ghana. The successes that NACAP has achieved since its inception in 2014 must be commended, but there is room for progress. Star Ghana, our donors, UK Aid, DANIDA, and the European Union, as well as our grant partners, are willing to work with other stakeholders to support this process. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Teiko.
Good morning and welcome to News Desk. I am Daniel Daze. This morning on News Desk, we'll be taking you straight back to the La Palma Royal Beach Hotel, where there's a workshop ongoing as part of the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Week. The purpose of this workshop is to examine the implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, NACAP, which has been in implementation since 2014, currently in about its third year. We'll be looking at what the various stakeholders in the anti-corruption space have to say about the efforts government, particularly SHRAJ, has made and what needs to be done moving forward. Of course, this is part of the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Week, which has been marked from Monday and will end tomorrow. So we'll take you back to the La Palma Royal Beach Hotel where that program is ongoing.
First time. You have to relocate. Anytime I use the word relocate, people warn me that when you say relocate in Nigeria, it means a different thing. That there was somebody who was deceased and went to buy a coffin. And he was carrying this coffin to the house. And he was stopped by law enforcement agencies. And he said he was relocating. They took to their heels. They thought he had arisen from the graveyard. Anyway. Has everybody got one now?
two documents, the main NACAP document and then the progress report. Okay, I think I'll start the presentation now. What I intend to do is first and foremost to set the background, the foundation for then coming to discuss what progress that we have made in the year 2016 in terms of implementing this program. So I would just make a recap of how the NACAP came into being and the reasons for which we had to develop it, the strategic objectives, then the implementation and the development of the work plan before the implementation, and then we take it from there. Now, you'll see just in the graphic representation, there's some key milestones to the development of this plan. There are some significant steps that provided the fertile ground for the development of the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan that we have now. Beginning from 1998, when we had the National Integrity Workshop organized by SRAJ with the support of the World Bank. In that workshop, there were a number of recommendations that included the development of a national action plan. There were other recommendations that pointed to the need to speed up with ethics, integrity, conflict of interest in public office. Following that was a survey, the survey conducted by CDD with the support of the World Bank, which documented the level of corruption at the time, which institution was perceived to be most corrupt, and so on. And if you take that plan, you will see that subsequent studies about which institution is most corrupt, they are almost the same. If they are not the same, then they have places be interchanged. So one is first, the other one is second, similar to the CPI, where sometimes it's Sweden that is leading, sometimes it is Denmark that is the least corrupt, and so on. So, and there were a number of recommendations there. And then the third step was, then following that, we had the first action plan, which was spearheaded by the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition and its constituent members. That also included some of the recommendations of the first integrity workshop that was organized by SRAJ. That ended in 2005. It was subsequently revised, but also ended. And so when that then took place, we then decided to have a multi-stakeholder consultation in Dodowa in 2009. And the results of that consultation at Dodowa was that we should have a national action plan that should last more than 5 years. That should last more than the period of any political party that will come into power. So they rejected a 5-year plan, but suggested strongly that it has to be 10 years. But before the 10 years, it has to be evaluated periodically 3 times before the 10-year ended. And recommendations were made as to how that program should be developed. Then they also decided.
Still live on News Desk, I'm Daniel Daze. You just saw a presentation on the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, giving there the background of the reasoning behind the implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Plan. Very soon, we'll go back and hear some updates about where the plan is now in terms of implementation, which will be the basis for some more deliberation at that workshop ongoing at the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel as part of the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Week.